Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
We deal in paint, pigment, light and shadow, realism, surrealism, impressionism, and ghost stories.
An interest in the oddball, a predilection toward the bizarre. And this place is nothing if it isn't bizarre.
There's no admission, no requirement of membership, only a strong and abiding belief in the dark at the top of the stairs, or things that go bump in the night. The name of this place, should you have come in here accidentally out of a ring, is the Night Gallery.
Welcome back, art lovers, to Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast, where we discuss Night Gallery, Rod Serling's follow-up to The Twilight Zone. I'm Father Malone, and here with me in the gallery are Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast's Mike White.
Are you the Messiah?
Oh, I am. Also joining us is Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85's Chris Stashu.
You may have heard of these things before. They're called ghettos.
Listen, this is season 2, episode 13. This aired originally on December the 15th, 1971. The episode is split into 2 segments. Those are The Messiah on Mott Street and The Painted Mirror.
Of course, you're all here by invitation, but don't let it disturb you if these paintings per se don't happen to be your thing. These are rather special paintings, the kind of hangings generally put up with a noose. This painting, for example, is of a rather special world. What has become perpetuated in the language as the ghetto, that dismal realm of pushcarts and poverty, where hopes are stamped down like dirty shoes on snow. Death is a commonplace visitor to these somber alleys, but occasionally someone else visits. Our painting is called The Messiah on Mott Street, and this place, should you not already know it, is the Night Gallery.
Oh boy, we're in for a Rod Serling kind of an evening. The Messiah on Mott Street is written by Rod Serling and directed by Don Taylor. He is a returning director to Night Gallery. Guys, you know the other episode he directed? They're tearing down Tim Riley's bar. This one stars
This is the moment I wish I had the soundboard for He's a Jolly Good Fellow, because really...
Literally the only thing missing from this episode.
Wow, you know what? You're right.
This one stars Edward G. Robinson, the original Little Caesar, Yaphet Kotto, Tony Roberts, and Joseph Ruskin as a fanatic. He was the man in the bottle in the original Twilight Zone. He was the genie in that. He was so goddamn scary. This one's a period piece set in the 1920s. Oh, no, wait. This is contemporary. This is a contemporary tale of a young boy looking for the Messiah on the streets of New York to help his ailing grandfather. What'd you think of this one, Mike?
Was that a mistake that it's 1920s? No, it's contemporary? Because I couldn't tell what the hell year this was. What the hell was going on? It does feel like it feels like Grandpa's apartment building is from a whole other era, as well as a lot of the people out on the street but not everybody, because nobody seems to have any sort of issues with this little kid just going out and bringing Yaphet Kotto home. It just seems a little weird that there's a black guy in the living room. Are you aware of this?
Am I seeing things?
It takes so long for the kid to find the Messiah. Just for him to leave the apartment. There's just so much of all of the stuff I did not mind this episode at all. In fact, it felt like there was a lot more to it, that had I read this as a story or even a novella, that I would have picked up a lot more. It just felt very literary with its construction. I was really happy to see Tony Roberts show up in this. I mostly know him. We talked a little bit about Woody Allen recently. I mostly know him from his work with Woody Allen, Annie Hall, and played against Sam, especially Annie Hall. So I was very happy to see him, but he feels very 1972, 73, and Yaphet Kotto feels very 1972, 73, and then the rest of the story feels like it is in the 1920s or 30s.
I was waiting for Tony Roberts to ask Edward G. Robinson if did Jew eat? I distinctly heard him call me a Jew. I do not understand what in God's name the point what in Yaphet Kotto's name is going on here. Was this segment 40 minutes and somehow Rod Serling went into the TARDIS with it and added another 40? I've never seen a segment take so long. Like I
30
so
minutes.
I was
Wow.
feeling hyperbolic, but more or less correct. Like it's fucking insane. I cannot believe that somebody thought that anybody would be compelled by this. I think we all know the story that they're getting at and the message that it's trying to attempt to get out. But wrong way to go. If Camera Obscura was a little long, if the last episode had some segments that were a little long, holy shit. This is probably the worst segment I've seen on this show in terms of the length feeling double what it actually is.
It is a sensitive take on the Jewish experience centered around Christmas time. Way to go, Rod.
I don't know who Santa is. Wow.
This segment is worse to me in every way than Tim Riley's bar, except for the aforementioned lack of "for he's a jolly good fella." But you know why? Because Tim Riley at least wasn't precious, and this is, thanks to the adorable subplot of grandson Mikey wandering the streets alone to find the Messiah. By the way, when he's not doing that incredibly dangerous thing, evidently this tiny, tiny child is taking care of his ailing grandfather. Is he taking himself to school as well? Is he doing the grocery shopping? That's what I'm getting out of it. Why is Tony Roberts not intervening? By the way, Tony Roberts, when I think of him, I always think of taking a Pelham 123, just trying to make that ailing mayor get out of bed and come deal with the subway situation. This episode, I get where he's coming from. It's yet another, the downtrodden man. We also get this really false happy ending where the check from his long lost brother arrives and everything's going to be okay. And you know what? Yaphet Kotto, he might have been the Messiah, but he might have just been the mailman. It's a bit ambiguous because we know most mailmen are delivering packages at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning on Christmas.
Thank you. This whole thing where they had to make sure to point out the clock and that it was just about midnight. And then everything else basically contradicting that it was anywhere near midnight, and especially that the kid was just outside and it was daylight and now it's pitch black and midnight. And I'm like, what is going on? Thank you for bringing that up.
Day for night and the back lot. What a combination.
I was so confused at I felt like I had fallen asleep for a minute and missed it. It's what a choice. Let's just put it that way. As if 36 minutes wasn't enough. You needed to have a time jump inside of your segment. A couple hour time jump. Yeah, and the story that they're telling is not that interesting. It's just, we've seen these, wasn't there a Twilight Zone 85 thing where the guy was Santa Claus and it was the drunk guy was Santa? Like this has that same just like saccharine.
Which was a remake of a segment from the original
I think so,
Twilight
yeah.
Zone, right?
Night of the
Yeah,
Meat.
Which was
this feels like that same
yes,
saccharine
yes.
bullshit. That's what this is, just like
This is not a Night Gallery segment. This is a Twilight Zone segment. There's
hat in hand, poor man bullshit constantly.
Mhm.
having Edward G. Robinson think he's facing the angel of death for 2 seconds does not equal a horror tale. This is a tale of fantasy. And it has no place. I don't care if this is their Christmas episode, and it is, because it aired on December the 15th. But I don't care if it is their Christmas episode.
Yeah, well, they do point out that Jewish children do not know who Santa Claus is, per Rod Serling. It's fucking no. That's not how that works at all. It's not how that works at all, Rod. And we know that, and you know that. It's so masturbatory at this point with Rod Serling. I need 40 minutes of this 50-minute show to tell this story. You know what? Whatever, Rod. Fine. Sure. We'll go and shoot our segment with Zsa Zsa Gabor. Whatever, Rod. It's just at some point, it's like, when is enough too much? And it's like 30 minutes is a little much for this show, frankly.
But it's good to see Yaphet Kotto. He's got like 3 lines,
Yeah.
but the man is walking gravity. And just that the last interaction between him and Tony Roberts is pretty good. It doesn't redeem anything. It's just good to see great actors doing work.
We, all of us, have a kind of fascination for mirrors. There's a most appealing mystery to what is on the other side of the looking glass. And occasionally we turn into Alice. Our last selection in tonight's gallery, a very special looking glass, and it's called The Painted Mirror.
All right. Our next segment is called The Painted Mirror. This one was written by Gene Kearney, based on a short story by Donald Wandre. He's one of Lovecraft's circle of writing friends. This one was also directed by Gene Kearney, starring Zsa Zsa Gabor, Arthur O'Connell, and Rosemary DeCamp. She was in 13 Ghosts. This is a story of a thrift store handyman at war with his garish proprietor, who discovers an ancient world behind a mirror glass. And that ancient world has a distinct high school stage quality. What do you think of this one,
I
Chris?
thought you were going to say backdrop at Sears quality.
It wouldn't be that groovy
That's fair.
at Sears.
It blows my mind that in 1971, Zsa Zsa Gabor was 54.
Wow.
Yeah.
She seems sprightly here, considering what we all remember her as in the 80s.
Well, I was
and
going to say the last time we
Right,
saw
smacking police officer.
And the last time we saw Zsa Zsa Gabor, speaking of police officers, was in the opening segment of Naked Gun 2, 3? Yeah, where she
2.
goes and smacks the top of Drebin's car. And that's, 10 years after this? I have no frame of reference for Zsa Zsa Gabor and what makes her famous. I know what makes her famous now, but I was not, that was way before my time. I get her shtick in this episode, and she plays that shtick perfectly. If she's essentially the Paris Hilton of the 60s and 70s, which is maybe a socialite or socialite adjacent person, what have you, fine. I get it then. And I don't know. I think not to say that the last segment needed more time, but maybe this segment needed less time, but I think the segment still works.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, it's pretty simple gag, and I don't necessarily get all of the chemistry between Zsa Zsa and the old shop owner. I know what she's supposed to be, but just the way that she's picking on him seems very odd. And had she had him more under her thumb and really made it like a dire thing, as opposed to she buys him out. She's just like, here's all the money that you need to get out of here. And I was just like, okay, that sounds good to me. Maybe I'm just of that age. Oh, you're going to buy me? Okay, cool. That's great. He doesn't seem like he should be that hard up after it. But whatever. Like, had she been a little meaner, I would have liked this more. But I do like this whole thing of that horrible dog just yipping all the time, and then it going into the mirror, and I was just so happy when it did, because I was like, oh, I know what this means. But when we get to see what scares the dog, it's high comedy. This is the kind of thing I could see in Alex Winter cutting to some of these effects on an idiot TV and then acting really scared, because it's that level of parody kind of thing with these just nasty B-roll dinosaur shots that just they might as well just have taken like a gecko and pasted like a horn on his head or something. It was just so bad, but so funny at the same time.
That's literally what they did in that second shot. It's a Komodo dragon with a Triceratops crown. That's all it is. And it's like barely glued to it, because when you see it move, it kind of it wiggles a little bit, as they would say. It's not affixed with the best spirit gum.
Yeah, if the prosthetic slathered lizards won't get you, the creature from the Black Lagoon's arms will.
Yes.
Hey, he's finally being represented in this show. He's the only Universal monster that hasn't shown up. Now he has.
And R.I.P. Rico Browning, not to date this episode, but he just died, the original creature from the Black Lagoon. Also, this segment and the Pickman's model segment, those are actually molded. Those arms we see are molded from the creature from the Black Lagoon's original molds. And the legs on the Pickman's model creature were also molded from the original creature from the Black Lagoon. So I guess
makes sense why it looks that way.
The creature is making uncredited cameo appearances here on Night Gallery. Why was Zsa Zsa Gabor so goddamn into that location? It was a slum. And there's look, the story is supposed to be some sort of parable about old ways versus new in some sort of way, like with the old handyman and he's being pushed out and whatever. But like all the construction that was going on outside, was that supposed to clue us in that like they were going to revitalize that neighborhood? And that's why she wanted the location. Wouldn't it have made more sense had Zsa Zsa been his wife? And he's having this affair with this woman who loves him. Also, I love a tale where, a doorway opens up. So I was excited when it started until he scraped it away and we saw what it was. Because, oh my God. Like, also, Rosemary DeCamp, his love interest in it, gives him the mirror and says, never could understand how mirrors work. As if that's to explain the fact that this is actually a portal to some sort of weird prehistoric other universe. And boy, isn't everyone so blasé about this portal, including Zsa Zsa Gabor, who walks up to it is like, I can use the frame, but the picture is terrible. It's like, you can see the smoke moving and like the fog, and can you maybe hear the lizards screaming? You can just walk into it. Everyone is just so casual about this momentous occasion that has just occurred in front of them. By the way, Pookie! That's what we're hearing.
Oh, boy.
Now, I haven't highlighted a sound effect recently, but this one needs to be called out because there are two shots of dinosaurs culled from other films. There is the one you mentioned, Chris, and then there is what is a brontosaurus that swings into the camera, faces directly into the camera, and makes this noise.
That is the greatest noise of all time.
Good.
Want to hear it again?
If you slow, I honest to God, if you slow it down and maybe repeat it, that's just Tim Allen going.
Yeah, to me it sounded like Scooby Doo.
Oh, I mean, yeah. That's not a soundboard, folks. That's not. What is that? What is that noise?
It's the sound of the dinosaur.
No. But what is the name of that sound effect?
I don't know. I'm just pointing it out because it was so unusual. I don't think I'm going to find it. What it sounds to me like, if I were to name it, it would be Sound Engineer is Tired. Because we need something here. Just give me the microphone. There we go.
Startled grunt.
Never could understand how mirrors work.
If Zsa Zsa Gabor saw a car with no wheels, she'd be like, I just don't understand how cars work. Yeah, the mirror's painted and the car has no wheels. The writing sometimes on the show is just really good.
On complete display here. As a former Los Angeles resident, I just want to say the opening shot is some B-roll that they shot of the 405. Man, the 405 has always been a parking lot. Jesus Christ, I thought it was bad when I was there. It apparently has never stopped being bad. Anyway.
Isn't this not just a blackout sketch that's like 5 minutes too long?
Yeah. All we needed was harried man, horrible woman, proprietor, like bearing down on him. Here's a mirror. He's get to work on that mirror. We got to get out. Yeah. Oh, pushes her in. By the way, the moral of this story, hooray for murder.
I was actually expecting when they scraped the mirror away, it would just be mustachioed George Wendt.
Oh, yeah. We saw that in the Twilight Zone 85. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I always just think of these. This is such a gimmick that's been used a bunch of times, like the mirror that has something on the other side. And I don't know, it's fun, right? Yeah, but the moral of the story is it's okay to kill your partner. It just a bad person deserves to die. Okay, my
Exactly.
moral judgment has been made.
All right, we're going to play a preview for our next episode, and we'll be right back to wrap up.
Item number 1 over there. It could be a gentleman sitting in an electric chair, but it isn't. What it depicts is, in a sense, a method of execution that we humans reserve for other humans who happen to be dissimilar to us. You're about to look under that hood and meet firsthand one of the different ones. Tonight's first excursion into the realm of the unusual. Jealousy is what we normally paint green, and jealousy provides the springboard of this particular painting. It offers up the bottom line of what can happen to human beings when trust is wiped out by suspicion. At this point, it ceases to be just a kind of titillating tale of human comedy. It becomes what it is, a horror story. Our painting is called Tell David. Item number 3 in the night gallery. You probably recognize this quaint figurine. The dead eyes, the sewn lips, the kind of thing that usually infests nightmares. And that happens to be precisely what it is, a nightmare of the first order. Its title, Lagoda's Heads.
That's right. On the next midnight viewing, we'll be taking a look at Season 2, Episode 14. That's broken into 3 segments. The different ones, Tell David, ... and Lagoda's Heads. One of those is about British colonials in Africa. Will it be racist? You'll have to tune in to find out. And until then, where can people find you, Mike White?
You can find me over at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com, as well as weirdingwaymedia.com, where you can also hear me on a few other shows, including Rankin on Bass and The Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller.
Hey, I'll go. You can check out Weirding Way Media for Chris's stuff like Cranking on Ass podcast.
Literally. The one time, Mike, you had one opportunity to not do it, and it was too much. Just breaking on bass. Well, you can find me on the internet at weirdingwaymedia.com. Like Mike mentioned, that's where you can find my movie podcast, The Culture Cast, and so many other shows that Mike and I have worked on, like The Kolchak Tapes, Dreams for Sale, and let's mention a random show, Twisted and Uncorked. Those ladies are pretty funny, and you should go listen to them and find out how funny you think they are. What about you, Father Malone? Where can people find you?
You can find me at weirdingwaymedia.com and hear my show, Noise Junkies, I do with HP, and Mondo Heather's Heather Drain. It's a music podcast. Or Dark Destinations. It's a half-hour radio drama I write and produce. Or if you want to check out my visual stuff, go over to fathermalone.com, fathermalone.com, or weirdingwaymedia.com. Go to all of those places. Thank you all for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. The gallery is now closed.